Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to Tekpon. Today our guest is Sethu, the co-founder and chief business officer at Zluri. Hello.
Yeah, Christian, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. At first, please tell us what your company does.
So Zluri is an enterprise SaaS management platform. So we help companies discover 100% of the software stack that they know of and they do not know of, including shadow IT, and help them manage all the spends and help them monitor the spend, and we help them optimize up to 30% of the software spend. And also we help them to automate the whole IT provisioning and deprovisioning of software for their employees with zero touch.
Nice. What do you say is the biggest problem that you solve? Is it unused software?
Yes, I think today people do not know how many software they have. It's a diagnostics problem. So we help them diagnose the problem.
Yep.
And once we help them diagnose the problem, we help them save money on unused software, underused software, underutilized software, unassigned software, yada, a lot of things.
Right. How exactly do you help companies save costs on their tech stack? Do you also go to companies and negotiate the subscription price if you have more clients?
Yes, that's also one of the offerings we do give, but it's more data driven.
Okay.
So we just don't do negotiation just like that. Once we help them discover all their application stack, through that we know what's the duplicated software and how much they're overpaying and all of that stuff. So basis that, we help them with procurement as well.
Right. So a team can use Asana and a team can use ClickUp, for example, and it's unnecessary because you already have one project management software, right?
Absolutely.
Nice. And what would you say are your top 3 most loved features?
The 100% visibility that we offer, which is based on 9 different discovery methods. So that's something that we built out. The only play to build out so many discovery methods in this space. That's a personal favorite. And second is we built out 800 plus direct API integrations. Okay. So Zluri can talk to 800 different software at the same time, and the number is going to be 1,000 by end of December. So Christmas comes early for us. And the next one is actually the entire optimization and the automation part, which is all about saying that irrespective of your employees using the software through SSO or not, I can give you data and insights on how much you can save and how much you can automate. So, yeah.
And how important are integrations for your product?
How many?
How important are integrations for your product? How does it help the customer?
So simply put, if you're using a SaaS product, right, like you just mentioned 2 examples, ClickUp and Asana.
Yep.
For those 2 applications to work, you don't have to start with integrations. You can try it yourself. If you want, you can add integrations on top. But for our platforms like us to work, the step number 1 is integration by itself. So which means without integration, my product is nothing. So to build out the more integration in this space, I think that's the best thing we've done.
Wow. Okay. And is this also a differentiator from other products?
Yes, our competitors do have integration for sure, but I think what differentiates our depth is the number that we built out, which is 800 plus. And today we can build any integration in less than 2 to 4 weeks. Nice.
Congratulations. And what would you say are your most typical use cases? What teams exactly use your product?
So we help IT teams. Okay. Because IT teams do care about visibility and the automation part, like I told you. But finance teams do care about the whole optimization, and procurement teams care about that as well. So our product is used by IT, finance, and procurement in equal measure in many ways.
And typically, what's the size of a SaaS company that needs a product like yours?
So the minimum threshold when it starts to become a pain is about 300 employees. People are willing to shell some good bucks to solve this problem for. Of course, we have customers even the 100 employee range as well and 20,000 employees as well. But I think the entry point becomes 300 employees and more, and obviously upper limit is uncapped.
Nice. Okay, so you work mostly with higher customers and enterprise customers. I was curious to know how do you base your pricing?
So we base it number of employees. So we do not base it based on spend or the number of software. We want a very predictable model for our customers, and the predictable model becomes number of employees. So yeah.
And I guess you use it. You also sell it as a thing that saving money on the software also covers the cost for Zluri, right?
Yeah, that's an easier way to sell because the ROI for a product, I mean, you recover how much you paid us in about 3 to 6 months, depending on how much you waste.
That's great. How competitive is this space, and how do you differentiate from the rest?
So there are about 5 competitors in this space compared to most SaaS companies that isn't that competitive, but still good competition and
Yeah.
good choices for customers in that sense. So like I said, the way we differentiate ourselves is the depth of work we do. So I think the when we say discovery, we don't do just discovery at the surface level. We do it very deep. So customers really care about visibility of the software stack. They prefer to work with Zluri. Number one. So that's an important differentiator. And number two is obviously the integrations universe we built out, about 800 plus, obviously pretty stands out. And number three, I think where we differentiate ourselves also in the whole automation space, which
Okay.
also means that today, for example, we built out automation with 200 applications and 2,500 actions.
Okay.
So simply put, I think if you're using, let's say, the common tech stack most companies have, like around the Google Workspace, Slack, Jira, Atlas, and all of that suite. So you can onboard and offboard employees onto these applications with zero touch with Zluri. And you can
Wow.
add them to multiple channels, multiple groups, all of that with no human effort at all. So I think at that level, again, like coming back to the first point, we solve with depth and not breadth.
Nice, nice. Congratulations. And now diving more into the company side, I'd love to know the founding story. When exactly did you start the company?
Okay, so Ritesh, Chaitanya, and I started the company together.
Okay.
In about 2020, when the world was grappling with COVID, we were starting company. So
Yeah.
obviously, I keep telling people that you need to be a little bit of a person with not the right mind to start companies for sure, right? So it's a very hard exercise to do. So we started this about in 2020. So Zluri is just about 3 years old as a company,
Nice.
but I think we went up the what united. So Ritesh, Chait, and I know each other for 10 years now. So what brought us together was the fact that we had met an earlier previous startup, which was very an interesting idea back then, which was creating pilot-like simulators for corporate learning. Very very niche concept, but like you can imagine, I think it is a great product, but not everybody wanted it because it was very niche, right? So it is during that time we realized that we wanted to. When we build the next company together, should we choose to ever, then it has to be one with a maximum TAM. All right. And then we realized that enterprise software is $1.3 trillion, of which 400 billion was SaaS, 900 was still on-prem, but quickly becoming SaaS.
Yes.
And fast forward by 2027, we expect that enterprise software to be to $2.7 trillion, of which 80% to be on the cloud applications.
Nice.
Now, when something is that big, then building a $1 billion company shouldn't be that hard or shouldn't be impossible, right? So we said then that's why not, and that's when we went through this pain point of cutting cost and software and all that happened. The market was so big enough that was attractive enough for us to take the plunge and start the company. And today, I think the fact that we've grown from just three of us to 150 plus people and customers in 30 countries, and we raised 3 rounds of funding, and 200 customers. All there is a validation that we took the right problem to solve.
Amazing. Wow. So now you are 150 people.
That's right.
Wow. Okay. And what was your latest funding round?
So we closed a Series B led by Lightspeed of 20 million. That was about 3 months ago, 3 to 4 months ago.
Nice. Congratulations. And what are your plans to do with the capital?
Three things. One is expand the GDM teams, go to the market because we have a rock solid product. So we want to expand the teams, number one. And number two is invest a lot more in R&D in terms of taking the product to multiple other use cases we're able to solve, because every day we learn a lot. So we want to productize that. And number three is invest in the right set of people and advisors around us so that we can build a comprehensive market leading product for our customers.
Wow. And how do you describe your culture at the company?
It's funny how people. I've been answering this question for some time because everybody asks me this question, right?
Yeah.
Right, from investors to employees to potential candidates and all of them. So, I think in fact, this is something that before starting. In fact, even before we had the name Zluri, we had the company culture, right? So the way I tell that is, we are like a sports team, and all of us care about having the right team to go win, right? And another parlance to that I keep telling people when they want to join Zluri is nobody likes running. Do you run, Christian, by any chance? Do you run? Do you?
Yeah, let's say once
Yeah.
every week, let's say. I recently hosted a morning run with other SaaS founders at SaaS Talk, so probably the answer should be yes.
Great. But if you see, most people in the world don't like running, right? Because
course.
running by itself is not a great activity. But if you ask people like you who run, you do it for the fact that because the activity by itself is not so enjoyable, but you do it for the feeling you get after,
Yes,
which
and
is
for the health and for the
exactly the way you've done it, right? So we said working at Zluri should be similar as well.
nice,
Right.
nice. I
So
like
is
that.
the journey going to be in Zluri going to be easy? Is it going to be nice every day? May not be, right? That's not
Yeah.
how we end up building it. But the fact that you work here and are able to do much better than what you thought is a feeling we want to leave you with. And way we've in fact, I even put a LinkedIn post about this. And people who believe in this have joined us and stayed for the last 3 years since the founding times. And people who come in who don't really click here is because they say, no, not for me. Which is okay, I guess,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
But at least, yeah. So that's exactly how I summarize the culture of Zluri.
That's great. Wow, I like how you said it. I'll keep it in mind. And I'd love to know what did you say was your biggest challenge since starting the company?
I think we wanted to play the big game quick. So we realized that we want to compete against the best of the best and get best of the customers. So that's not easy when now it's okay. Now it looks relatively easier to do because we're much bigger than who we were.
Yep.
But when we were thinking about this, when we were 5-10 employees, people were like, are you joking? Start with SMBs, slowly go, maybe in 5 years, go to large companies. But we said, no, you want to start solving the problem, let's start solving where it matters, right? So to get to people to believe in that and to believe that we can go and work with these world-class customers wasn't really easy, right? I'm glad we stuck it through, and some people who believe, yeah, maybe these founders who think they can, let's just believe them. Why not, right? They're more thinking. And thanks to them, I think we were able to scale pretty quick. And today, some of the biggest logos we work are like Monday.com, to Tipalti, to Block, to Traveloka, some of the big names, Razorpay here. So I think all of that today are actually an evidence to how we thought and ended up building. But to get people to believe that you can work with all of these logos being a young company was definitely not easy.
Yeah, I can imagine. And would you advise startups to start with enterprise customers, or is it just a special exception, your company?
I would ask, I mean, if you think in the long term your product only makes sense to them and not for SMBs, then start with that segment to begin with. I mean, no harm, right?
And that's how you can test it as well.
Exactly. The more you delay that motion, it's only further going to get delayed. So you as well start early, fail quick, understand them. Maybe you might only win 2-3 customers in a year. Who cares? But at least you won them, right? So
yeah. How did you get your first customers?
It's funny. So I was telling that because we're in COVID, so the reality is when we built the company, we couldn't even go meet customers. So we had to build that trust and sell to customer over a Zoom call. You can imagine how far more difficult it would have been, right? So at least as founders, we said, let's go sell ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. So we were knocking everybody's door, making a passionate pitch, talking about our story, why we're doing what we were doing. And then customers who believed in that story wanted to give us a shot. And like you can imagine, enterprise didn't give us a shot back then, by the way, just being transparent to the audience here. But it was upper SMBs and mid-market gave us a shot. And we said, okay, let's go build for them. All right. So that's how we got our first customers. And to be more specific, it was through our network.
Yeah. Right.
People who know. Right. So, yeah.
So this is really important. Without the network and the experience before, it would have been probably 10 times harder to sell.
Yeah.
Right?
So interesting analogy I can tell you is when one of our investors was leading second round for us asked is, why start now? Why not 5 years later? Why not 5 years earlier?
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's an important question for them to know before they fund.
Okay.
So the answer I gave to them was, so I was 35 when I raised the funding. So I said, in my 20s, I have the energy, but not the experience. In 40, I know I will have the experience, but I'm not so sure of the energy. And today, I have both in the right mix, so I will
Perfect
start.
mix. Yeah. Amazing. I love that. And today, what do you say is your most successful go-to-market strategy for acquiring customers?
I think so. Today is very, very clear. So we look at prospects. We choose a market first. So important point is, for a problem like ours, world can be the market. Honestly said, right? Okay, everybody was software, same kinds of software, so easy. But then it's important to know where your market is. So we said, let's focus on the US and let's zero down on a tech-heavy usage kind of market. You can imagine the west coast of US turned out to be the one that uses a lot of tech. So there we went and educated them. Some people already knew about this problem because they could recognize this problem. They were living the problem, but they didn't know there was a solution. So we started zeroing down on geography, zeroing down on the tech stack, zeroing down on the potential spend. Could you get that through multiple proxy? And then we reached out to them. And I think of that, we found the most success.
And did you also hire salespeople from the US?
Yes, we do have a sales team in the US as well, yeah.
Do you think this is necessary? Because I know this is a hot debate, and people say that when you want to start in the US or expand into the US, you have to hire some local people there because it's easier to sell.
Yes, I think culture plays an important role. All said and done, even when I'm migrating to the US to show my commitment as a founder to the market, for sure. But today I'm going to the US, I don't know the culture, I'm going to learn along the way. Yeah. Right? Of course, US is great as a country to be very, very clinical about the buying process. If I have a problem, you have a solution, let's test it, let's go buy. I don't really care, Sethu, where you come from, right? Not my problem. Which is great. Right? That said, if you want to build a long-lasting company, it's important to be clued into the culture of the country you're selling into, which can only come from people from that country. So one advice I probably have, don't just try to hire and try to be in your home country and hoping it would work. It will never. So be committed to. So in fact, I spent a lot of time in the US, by the way, when I realized that it's important for me to make the move. So hence I'm making a move there permanently. So
yeah, I understand. So when you started hiring people in the US, you're also there to meet them in person, right?
That's right.
Yeah, makes sense. You cannot skip this or find a shortcut. I was curious now to know about the future vision of the company. What are the plans?
Sure. So today the thing is we have a lot of competition in our space who are catering to the on-prem software world, right? So we believe that all the products they built out works really well for the on-prem software world, but does not really translate itself to the SaaS world. But as customers moving to the SaaS world, they would want to solve all the problems for the world of SaaS. So one problem we picked up was SaaS management, right? But then there could be a lot of things, or not there could be, there will be a lot of things, which is around, hey, can you tell me who got access to what tools? Can you tell me what permission levels they have? Hey, my compliance guys are coming in. The governance and risk teams are asking. So which means today we are catering to IT, a little bit of finance and procurement. We want to cater to multiple other stakeholders in a company, solving multiple problems in the tech stack and productize each one of them as we go forward in the world of SaaS.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate the transparency. Now I'd love to know the backstory of your career, how you started it.
Okay, so I started my career, again, I have this weird way of starting my career amidst any big meltdown. So I started my career just before the global meltdown 2008. Okay. Before Lehman Brothers filed for bankruptcy in the world. I just started my career then. I started with a company called Avaya. I think the best way, I fell for the pitch when they came to my college to hire me. The president of the United States uses Avaya phones. Do you want to work for us? I'm like, wow, what a pitch. And he still uses, by the way. So I joined them and I was lucky enough to get a break in sales right from my undergraduation. So I never worked in tech to move to sales. I started my career with sales and tech, right? So did that. I learned around the market. It was in India. Then went to do my MBA with my learning. I studied in Singapore and then worked in Dubai for a while, for about 2 years in a banking sector. Again, so moved from telecom to MBA to banking, and then moved back to the startup I described earlier on in the podcast, which was somebody was going to create a pilot-like simulator for corporate learning. This is 2013, before the startup boom began in India. So in India, if you remember, Walmart acquired a company called Flipkart, which is Amazon's competition, for $16 billion.
Okay.
So So I joined startup world in India before that also. So much of a bug bite me. Did explode, lived through Bangalore, Singapore, multiple markets around the world. Built a company in 55 countries. We raised Series A around there as well, and all that. And during that time is when the idea popped up and Zluri started. So I've never been a guy who worked with a lot of companies. I like to work with one company in deep to understand stuff, which
Yes.
I really wish a lot of people in this today's generation do, but they keep switching so quick. Not really something I like, but that's exactly been my backstory. Right, so 3 companies before starting Zluri.
Nice. Thank you so much. You put it as a good summary. And what would be your best piece of advice for a starting founder today?
There are multiple things you could get distracted as a founder. So all I would recommend is focus on the customer. That's it.
Just listen to the feedback and focus on helping customers, solving a real problem.
Exactly, and everything else will fall in place. The investors will come, the employees who love solving the problem will come. Everything will follow, right? But if you get distracted by anything else, it doesn't. So the joke I keep having is every time we raise a funding, I'm probably the last one to announce that to the world. Right? So
Makes
the
sense.
validation is more like I want the customers.
Yeah, right. And now one last question that I ask everybody on the podcast. What's your favorite SaaS product that you use?
A favorite SaaS product? Because I live and breathe on Salesforce, I would say Salesforce.
Salesforce. Okay, awesome. Okay, you did really well on the podcast. I really enjoyed it. You have a good story and a lot of insights that you shared. I'm grateful for that. But if there's anything else that you want to tell us today on the podcast, now would be the moment. If not, we can close this down and yeah.
No, I enjoyed the podcast with you as well, Christian. I really hope. So I strongly believe that there'll be a lot of builders coming in, building a lot of innovative companies, at least from most markets the world has not seen. Starting up has always been with countries like the US, mostly when you think of that. But I think we're starting to see entrepreneurship shift to the eastern side of the world as well. And I really wish a lot of people start up in the years to come. And I think lessons from entrepreneurs like me become a tribal knowledge for them to make lesser mistakes and grow. So wish them all the best.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for joining. You did great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.